Hey guys, what's up? How you doing today? Welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your guy Igor here, coming from beautiful Alberta, Canada. By the way, check this out. There's a hockey rink and there are people. I don't think that's a kid there, but some adult guy smashing playing hockey. I think he's playing by himself though. That's kind of awkward. But anyways, welcome back, guys. I want to talk about some cracks and loopholes in healthcare here in Canada. I want to start by saying that healthcare is awesome because it's free, right? So you like to tease Americans saying that, hey, you don't get your healthcare there. If you get sick, you're basically in trouble in the US, and unless your employer covers it, then basically you're on your own. And yeah, lots of negative things, lots of conversations like that. And it's one of the reasons why lots of Canadians say, I'm never going to go to the States. Well, for a few reasons. One reason is their healthcare is not free, and the other reason is they have guns. So that's kind of an argument lots of Canadians pose to me when I ask them, like, why, like, you're complaining about economy, for example, in Canada, but you have been to States so many times. Like, why did you, like, for example, decide to move to US? Like, what makes you stay in Canada? And one of the reasons I always hear is healthcare. And besides being all the positive things, there's lots of negative sides to it. And I want to cover those things in this video because we only talk about the good things, but once you are in a situation, I'm going to explain to you which kind of situation the Canadian healthcare can get you into, you're going to realize it's not that fun. And guys, if you are in Canada already, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I encourage you to start leaving comments and share your stories, good and bad stories, with healthcare in Canada. I'll tell you more about Alberta healthcare because that's where I live right now and I have encountered lots of things. I also give some comparison with Ontario healthcare. Okay, let's get started. Well, first thing, guys, I want to tell you that healthcare is free, right? But sometimes it's depending on where you live, depending on your income, depending on the situation, it's difficult to have proper access to the healthcare. It's difficult to get yourself a family doctor. In some places, in some situations, people don't have a healthcare, basically they don't have a family doctor, which leads you to a position where you basically have to go to like a walk-in clinic and you have to stay in a line, or in emergency, if you have to go to emergency, you just have to go there and stay in a line. So there are two downsides. First thing is, you have to, instead of going to your family doctor, you go somewhere to a hospital. And the second situation is you have to wait. Now the wait times, from what I heard, is even for emergency situation here in Alberta, fingers crossed, I only had to go once to an emergency situation. Actually twice, but one in Ontario and one in Alberta, but that's a different situation. I got lucky because my emergency situation was actually like a life-threatening, so it was like more life-threatening, right? I had some muscle pain here, which means I could have had a heart attack, which I didn't have. Luckily, everything was good. I went to an emergency in Ontario, they took me in, I had to wait very little time, but I heard people breaking their arm, people having a trauma, going to an emergency situation where they had to wait in an emergency room for 7 hours, and some people had to wait for 10, 14 hours to get the treatment, because they categorize people based on the category on the state of emergency. I mean, how much pain you are in, how much, what's your situation, and those people who need more help, they would put them ahead of you. So can you imagine, you go to an emergency, you spend your entire day or almost 2 days like sitting there waiting in queue for a physician to see you. That can be really frustrating, painful and disappointing. Next thing is wait lines for treatments. You have a surgery, an important surgery you have to do, but there is a waiting list, and sometimes you have to wait for a month or even half a year to get your treatment. That's what people who live in Alberta were telling me. I know a guy who had a surgery with his hip or something. There's like hip replacement or something. I didn't go into details what he needed with his leg, but he had to wait for a very long time to get it done, and dealing with his discomfort and almost like a disability until it gets done. waiting for so long is just ridiculous, guys. So waiting times in clinics, but I'll tell you one more thing. It's really disappointing, actually. Healthcare is free, right? But medicine is not. There are lots of people who are facing some mental disabilities, and they have to go through some serious medication, some drugs that they have to take in order to stay in their senses, that are prescribed by a doctor, but they are not they're not provided by the healthcare, we don't have a universal pharmacare here in Canada, so you have to buy your own stuff. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to mention names because I want to remain privacy and everything. I'm working with some people, and one of the people told me the story that a child of hers needs that medication. A medication that is worth $700 Canadian every single month to pay. And if the kid doesn't get that medication, the kid cannot act properly with the society, cannot be himself, the kid cannot function. Kid needs that medication that prescribed by a doctor, and it's one of the instances only where a person is just waiting there to get some company benefits, to get at least some kind of coverage for that, or other people in this kind of situation comes to a state where it's like mortgage payments. $700 a month. It's like $7,000 a year. More than 7,000. It's like 10 months, right? 70. Oh my God, guys, it's freaking a lot of money. Basically, people are already looking at me vlogging here. Woo! Guys, it's like just check it in a long scale. If you have someone in your family and you have like that, $700 times 12 times 10. It's like $84,000 in 10 years. It's a mortgage payment. Some people have to skip a meal. Some people, they have to skip on groceries to be able to afford. Not everyone can afford. Do every one of us in Canada have $700 to spare? Personally, I don't. We are paying so much of taxes. I don't want to tell you the exact number how much taxes I paid last year through my household income, but it was way over $30,000 of taxes that was paid. And you don't even use the amount of taxes you spend. Most of us would not use on healthcare in a lifetime for 1 year what we pay. Just think about it, how much taxes we pay and what we get in return. There is lots of cracks and loopholes to Canadian free healthcare that gets people into a position where you're just on your own. Let's look at more details. For example, I heard in Ontario it's easier to get a specific doctor, but in Alberta, you're stuck with your family physician. Basically what it means is that, for example, you want to see a gynecologist, okay? But you don't have any record in Alberta that would threaten your, for example, pregnancy, right? It's really difficult to get your family physician to assign you to go to some gynecologist or to see a skin doctor, or you have to go through a family physician for everything. And sometimes the family physicians don't have the qualifications or skills or knowledge of those things that they do think that they do have. Medicine is a huge topic. It's big. There are people who just specialize only on the wrist. Wrist, nose, ear, throat. That's a huge one part of medicine, but there are doctors who specialize in one single thing. And if you need to go someone to see about your hearing, then you better go to that doctor who specializes in it, and not a general practitioner. And you're stuck with a general practitioner, and unless you're showing some signs that you're about to die, some severe symptoms, you're not going to get to see a doctor that you want to see. Unless you can prove it, then you really need to see that doctor, to your family doctor. You see where I'm going to, guys? It's a system that works free, and in fact you pay lots of taxes for it. it provides the care. Now there are waiting lines. You can see a doctor, but there are constraints again to see a doctor where not everyone can. It all falls into category of where you live, who you know, how much you make, and some things that have to change. You know, like, this shouldn't be like that in Canada. That's my personal opinion. Guys, so let me know your story. Do you have a really positive experience? I had both good experience and very bad experience with healthcare. I can make a separate video about my experience here and some more ridiculous details that I didn't even imagine I could encounter in Canada. And I also find out your good stories. What was your most positive and most negative experience of healthcare in Canada? Or if you're not in Canada, how is it in your home country? Do you get free medication, guys? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash the like button on this video if you agree with part of it, or dislike it if you don't like it, guys. Subscribe, smash the bell to see more, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. By the way, 20% of people smash the bell. That's what YouTube told me in a recent email, guys. So smash the bell. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Love you all.